coming up on the East End.
Blessed to be asked to come up here and help them out.
Climb to the top of a Long Island landmark, commissioned by George Washington, and may be haunted by a ghost. Plus,
that is amazing. That is like petting a dog.
Yeah.
Meet the two city artists who went from making masterpieces to farming mushrooms. And
when you come to a place like this, you really understand that this is unique.
indulge on your own private island, the East End compound with its own windmill and wellness studio,
from lavish Hamptons hotspots
to local North Fork hidden gems.
come with us as we explore the people and the places that make up Long Island's East End.
Welcome to the East End. I'm Erin Colton.
And I'm Joe Arena.
We've got lots to see this weekend.
And while you're exploring it all with us, don't forget to play along in our East End trivia game. You'll see questions pop up during the show. Scan that QR code on the bottom of the screen and submit your answers. You might just win some East End swag.
We begin at the end. The Montauk Point Lighthouse is the easternmost tip of Long Island. The iconic landmark opened back in 1796, and it's the oldest lighthouse in New York State.
And while it's famous for its views, it's also rich in history.
They say it's all about perspective. And nothing is more true at the Montauk Lighthouse. While it's the end for most of us, it's also the beginning for those traveling west by boat. The lighthouse has stood tall for almost 230 years, a 110-foot sandstone guiding beacon and symbol of voyage. And Joe Gaviola knows its story well.
I'm known as the keeper of the Montauk Lighthouse. I've been on the board here for about 25 years now, living in this structure for about the past 6.
Joe says the job of the keeper has changed throughout the years, a lot less heavy lifting, for instance.
In the early days, they would carry whale oil up here. I'm a different type of a keeper. I'm more of an ambassador now. I'm handling fundraising and finances and things like that.
But for the man who keeps the light, Joe says he never planned on doing this job, but he always loved visiting Montauk, even as a kid.
I have had a connection here since the 60s, fishing off the lighthouse with my father, and then surf casting under here for many years.
But Joe says he made the permanent move out here for love.
My firstborn daughter got critically ill in 1987, and my wife and I gave up our business practices and came out here to nurse her back to health. I stayed full time and got very involved in the community.
Besides being the keeper, Joe is president of the Montauk Historical Society and the Lighthouse Committee. And in 1996, after almost 10 years of leasing the property from the federal government, the Historical Society bought the lighthouse for a ceremonial and very nominal fee.
We bought it for $1, what I call $1 in a dream.
And another dream come true for Joe is on full display in the Lighthouse Museum. Here since 2007, and something you can see if you come visit, the original George Washington signed authorization for the purchase of this property, a piece of history Joe had to bid on at an auction.
I looked at it, got very emotional, and the more I looked at Washington's signature and the lines that he wrote, the more I was worried that we may not be able to purchase it. Didn't know if it was going to go for $15,000 or $150,000.
Concerned he might not take it home before the bidding began, Joe says he made a bold move.
There was a place where I could actually slip my finger in there and touch it, so I do admit to sneaking my finger in there just in case I couldn't get it to say I was able to touch something that George Washington did.
But $15,000 later, it was his. And since 1796, 4 years after it was commissioned by President George Washington, there's always been a keeper here at the first lighthouse in the state. And while the job comes with million-dollar views, it also comes with legends and some eerie tales of the past.
There's a person behind me here.
You don't want to look at her, right?
No, I won't. Actually, won't look at her. So the lore is that Abigail, our ghost, was the newlywed bride of a ship's captain about 1850, right off the Montauk Lighthouse. She was the only survivor, crawled up into the lighthouse here, and I tell people she has 2 missions in the afterlife. One is to wait for her husband, the ship captain, to return, and 2 is to drive me absolutely crazy.
But thankfully, Joe says it's the other visitors that make up for his alone time with Abigail. More than 100,000 people visit the Lighthouse every year, and this symbol of direction has been seen by people from 192 countries and all 50 states, something Joe is grateful to be a part of.
Blessed to be asked to come up here and help them out.
And a great stop after or before you've checked out the view from the Lighthouse is this great gift shop they have here.
I remember coming as a little kid. I think maybe I still have the souvenir I got back when I was a little kid. And the best thing about taking a trip or a vacation is bringing back a souvenir to remind you of the adventure.
That's right, but what if a simple smell could transport you to a special time and place?
One East End woman is hoping her handmade candles will do just that. Southampton native Brittany Torres says she's always had the dream of owning her own business, but not just any business, one that highlights where she grew up on Long Island's East End.
I was just inspired by small business and the community that came into the store.
That store is Therapy Life and Style on Southampton's Main Street. Brittany worked there as a teenager with the owner Kelly when she started using essential oils to help manage some of her health struggles. From there, she learned how to make candles and sparked her true passion.
I was kind of staying home a lot from work, and I started candle making and thought the idea to put a scent with my hometown, Southampton, and I just made a little collection, and Kelly allowed me to sell it in the store.
Over time, that hobby became Brittany's livelihood.
It kind of just rollerballed into something bigger than I thought. It became my full-time gig.
And she created scents for nearly every East End community.
I had like different impressions growing up here, just different memories and things that I wanted to portray in the candles. Watermill has scents of apple for apple picking. Bridgehampton has grassy notes for all the fields of Bridgehampton. Sagaponic has wine for the vineyard there, Wolfer Wine.
And now Brittany wants others to take part in the candle making fun. Whether you're visiting for the weekend or live here year-round, you can book a party or sign up for one in the very store her dreams started in.
We're going to be making the Long Island candle today, which is geranium, wildflower, honey, and citron.
I like it. The Long Island candle.
It's non-toxic, it's vegan, it's 100% soy. First, what we're going to do is we're going to prep the glassware for candle making. Now we're ready for the fun part. So we're going to mix our fragrance that we have right here. You can, bring your favorite foods, your favorite drinks, and make a night of it. I usually take a little break in between, so I give some information about my candles. So you can add really pretty things on top, like dried florals, beach glass, and seashells.
Hamptons Handpoured, a perfect way to ignite those East End memories.
People send them to their kids at college, or if they've stayed here for a week or a weekend just to commemorate their time here. I think it really captures the essence of the East End.
Truly the smell of sweet success. This store, Kelly, these are special things to you because it's what you did growing up and making your life. The fact that you now get to bring this back, something that you've achieved.
I could cry. Without this community, I don't think it would have been as popular and as successful as it has been.
And here is the finished product, my Long Island candle. I made this all by myself, Joe.
And the decorations on top. I love seeing sea glass. You don't see that very
That was the
often
best
now.
part.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a smell.
It smells like a day at the beach.
That's what it should smell like.
Beautiful.
All right, a cupcake shop, a craft boutique, even a carousel. You can find it all at the shops at East Wind.
And we teamed up with Discover Long Island for a tour.
Take a spring stroll, shop your way through locally made treats, and have a day of family fun here at the shops at East Wind.
East Wind Long Island is actually a destination, and the shops were created in 2016 to create part of that destination that would be inclusive to the community for families to come and enjoy.
The shops at East Wind is like its own type of Main Street. It's a little shopping village with over 20 different small businesses, and there's nothing like it on Long Island.
We have one full-service restaurant, a pizzeria, an ice cream store, a bakery, as well as a couple of apparel stores and a cheese and spice shop, a wine store.
With the handcrafted gifts at the North Fork Craft Gallery, pinball and air hockey at the pop-up arcade, and fresh pastries and stuffed croissants, here at A Pinch of Sprinkles, Shops has something for everyone.
We do annual events here every year at the shops. Most of the community knows about them. Our cruise night will start at the end of April, and then every now and then we'll do a pop-up event throughout the summer, possibly a craft fair or something. And we like to get people out here for holiday shopping because it is a bunch of small businesses and we do like the community to support us.
The carousel is a shop staple. There's 12 galloping horses, a zebra, dragon, and even a chariot with enough seating to fit the whole family. And end the day with a fulfilling meal at Ruggiero's family-style restaurant, where they serve classic Italian dishes for lunch and dinner throughout the week and have a date night special on Sundays. For Discover Long Island, I'm Brianna McEnroe.
Still ahead, their motto is follow the fungi.
You call yourself kind of an accidental farmer.
We are, yeah. It was not a master plan.
Hear how two artists turned into North Fork mushroom farmers when the East End returns.
And welcome back to the East End. We are in Mattituck right now, probably one of the most unique places you'll visit if you make a trip out here to the North Fork. And no, we're not at a vineyard or a restaurant. We're at a mushroom farm where what you eat is also a work of art.
No, we're not apples, and we don't do wine, but we are one of the only North Fork mushroom farmers out here. What do we have to harvest in here today?
But how Anthony Holbrook and his wife Agathe became mushroom farmers on Long Island's East End, Anthony will tell you, was not well thought out.
You call yourself kind of an accidental farmer.
We are, yeah. It was not a master plan, that's true. Like many people, the pandemic rearranged our lives. We had a lot of time.
But what is now a thriving business with some of the most exotic mushrooms you may have ever seen.
That is amazing. That is like petting a dog.
Yeah.
All started as a much smaller and urban farm in New York City. Both established artists, Anthony a sculptor and Agathe a mixed media artist, not only took notice of, but decided to take on what another member of their family was doing.
My wife's sister was already running an urban farm business, and that was really their vision. And unfortunately, the pandemic really put so many hurdles in front of urban farming. As everybody was moving during the pandemic to the North Fork, we moved a mushroom farm, literally from Brooklyn.
And in just 5 years, Mattituck Mushrooms has become a well-known destination. Notoriety built on their bond with other farmers on the North Fork, Anthony says, who deserve much of the credit for their success.
We would not have been able to have launched this business or this farm if it hadn't been for all of our neighbors and other small farmers. They helped us with the soil, with the logistics, everything from energy costs to soil maintenance.
And that helping hand is responsible for a relationship this couple has with several restaurants, markets, and farm stands. And because of that, there's a good chance you've tasted their mushrooms, even if you've never been out to the farm. But I can tell you firsthand, coming here is worth the trip for some foraging of your own. And even sneak a taste of some like this Combs tooth variety, also known as coral, and you can see why.
You really tell when you eat it like raw that it's all water content.
Yeah, it's all water. That's why the water is so important and why our success really is dependent on a clean water source.
And it's that water source, you could say, Anthony and Agathe struck gold by tapping into. Their farm is adjacent to the Laurel Lake Preserve.
Clean water on the North Fork actually is probably more responsible for the top quality of our mushrooms than I am.
There's another product they sell at the farm, extracts made from their mushrooms.
So for example, the reishi, which is the one you're holding here, is antiviral and anti-inflammatory and more to the point, immunity builder.
Did you think you'd be here 5 years later with this thriving business?
No, we began by growing literally 20 pounds. I thought was a lot. 20 pounds. Now, if we grow less than 200 pounds in a given week, even in winter, that would be too small.
There are some high-priced homes in the Hamptons, but this one may blow your mind. A 16-acre compound on Ram Island that you could rent, and the amenities are unbelievable.
In real estate, we say unique all the time, and one of a kind, special, rare. But when you come to a place like this, you really understand that this is unique. There's no other private island for rent in the Hamptons. The main house here has 4 bedrooms. The guest house has another 4, and then the boathouse and the wellness cottage, and there's a pool house.
I mean, who has a front door like this?
You can.
It's unbelievable.
The main house was moved here about 15 or 20 years ago and completely redone about 10 years ago. It's just amazing the way they've opened up this whole space. So you open up both sides, you just get a beautiful breeze through here.
There's not many people in the world who can say their office is inside a windmill.
It's at the top of a windmill that used to actually be a working windmill. This was the windmill that provided the water to the National Golf Links Club.
You can actually see National Links from the property.
It's really, really exclusive. This guest house is 4 bedrooms, plus there's a really cool bunk room. It's the slumber party room. This is where the main house goes to bed, everybody comes down here, and this is the after party.
So if you don't want to be in the main house, the guest house, the pool house, you come to
The boathouse.
Oh, the boathouse.
Right. You
The
come to the
wellness
wellness cottage. There's a meditation area. Inside is a hammam.
What's a hammam?
A hammam is sort of a blend between steam, sauna, light, music, vibration, the whole thing. And then there's a massage table.
On this property, there's not just one boathouse, there's 2.
Well, you have to have a boat because from this dock, which can take boats up to like 40 feet, you can get right out through the channel and you can be in Greenport, Shelter Island, Sag Harbor in a matter of minutes. The property's available for July, and the cost would be $325,000 for the month of July.
I know it's not for sale, but if it was.
There's just no way to price this property because there's nothing else like it, and nothing even close to it has sold at any time. It's something that just almost nobody in this world will ever get to experience.
To see more from this home and explore other East End gems, just scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen. Still ahead, it's like taking a trip back in time.
I thought I found a sunken treasure. I said, someday I'm going to have a whole bunch of these things.
Meet the East End man who's preserving the past, one cash register at a time.
Welcome back. You know, antiquing is a very special activity out here on the East End, and for one man on the North Fork, he has a very rare collection.
Dozens of antique cash registers, some dating all the way back to the 1800s. His specialty, making something old new again.
Peter Warnes doesn't mind a little change.
Well, it came out of machines.
That's because he finds some while he works.
I'm still looking for a 1943 penny.
If you're wondering, he's not a coin collector.
I restore and refurbish brass antique cash registers.
In fact, he's been in business for over 45 years. Take a moment to let that register.
I'm a third generation. My grandfather used to work for NCR, the National Cash Register Company. He left National to go into his own secondhand business in New York City. My father joined him in 1929. When I was about 12 years old, I spotted a brass cash register over in a bunch of junk, and I thought I found a sunken treasure. I said, someday I'm going to have a whole bunch of these things.
NCR began making machines at their factory in Dayton, Ohio in the late 1800s. There were over 200 different models and styles. The company cashed out in 1991, but their legacy lives on thanks to passionate collectors like Peter.
I'd say I probably have about 15 machines in here that are finished, 20 or 30 over there in the back that aren't finished. The most I've had at the peak was probably around 250. Anything I could do to track down a cash register, because You never knew if you were ever going to see another one.
These days, Peter does most of his business online, but there are always exceptions.
Somebody pulled up in my driveway with 2 machines he was going to take to the scrapyard. He said, I can't bring myself to do it. Take them, they're yours.
In an age where they don't make them like they used to, Peter's glad they made them like they did.
The mechanisms are made of cast iron, the strongest metal they had at the time. I just can't get over the beauty and how they come back.
He's even got a collection of scales just to balance things out. But to Peter, it's these registers that count the most.
I'm just thrilled that there are so many machines in people's homes and will be passed on for future generations to enjoy because of what I did.
What a cool story. My version of an antique cash register, like Fisher Price.
That's right, with the little plastic coins
Yeah.
and everything. Well, that gave me a flashback because my father used to actually collect those. He doesn't have that many, obviously, but I used to take them apart when I was a kid, and that would really not end well for me. So, time now to check your answers in our East End trivia game. If you've been playing along, scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen. It'll take you to our website where you can submit your answers for a chance to win some East End swag.
You'll also find more information on our website about all the places we've explored in this episode.
And while you're there, let us know about your favorite places to visit on the East End, from the lavish to the local.
Because it just may be our next adventure. See you next time.